And we are some atheists with an audio show. Hi, I'm your host, Jeff D. Our co-host, Denis Loubet.
Howdy, I babble incessantly.
And producer, Russell Glasser.
Hello.
Fiddling with the controls, as usual. Our show is called TheNonProphets. That's a pun, folks. We're not prophets here. We don't guess what the future is. We don't predict what the future is. But we're willing to guess, I guess, is what I should
We can
say.
make guesses, yes.
Today is, February 26, 2005.
Why?
Yes, it sounds good to me.
We're live every other Saturday from 2 to 3:30 Central Time, though we missed last Saturday, 2 weeks ago, Saturday,
Yeah.
on account of it was Darwin Day. And several of us went to our local zoo in Austin, Texas.
Yes, enormous turnout at the zoo. Everybody who wasn't there missed out greatly.
Yeah, it was a fun time at the zoo.
Cool.
They have many, many tigers.
Yes, I imagine they do. I would have to go
Do you
there.
imagine they have many bears?
I wouldn't think many bears. Do they have many bears?
No.
They don't. Wow.
Good guess.
Tigers, but no bears. Interesting. Do they have lions?
And tigers.
Lions
No
and
bears.
tigers. Okay.
They had a
cool.
cage marked
bears.
bears, but it had lions in it. Or tigers.
Tigers, yes, more tigers.
So, lions and tigers, no bears. Oh my. All right.
In fact, anybody who did not celebrate Darwin Day 2 weeks ago should smack themselves on the face.
Ow.
What, you didn't celebrate Darwin Day?
No.
No, you didn't go to the zoo.
I didn't go to the zoo, no.
Here you are guessing about what they have at the zoo.
Yeah.
On account of you weren't there.
Uh-huh.
There was a website for Darwin Day, which is www.darwinday.org or com.
I don't know.
We don't take a wild stab in the dark. You can find something. That is
I'm
there's
chatting, dude.
There's an international effort
I'm
to
reaching out to the listeners.
F the listeners. We don't need listeners. We can sit here in this room and talk into these microphones. There wouldn't have to be anybody listening to us. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone in the chat room. Of course, we love you all. Thank you for stopping by to listen to the show.
We're using powerful radio telescopes to beam our message to distant galaxies.
Do other galaxies get the internet?
Only the dark ones.
Okay, now you're foreshadowing.
Well,
a galaxy story.
Well, I'm not
having.
having. It's a bizarre story. It's not really has to do with atheism or anything. It's just
But you're
a bizarre little
foreshadowing it,
science
and it's
story.
a dark
Yes.
galaxy.
It's a dark galaxy being foreshadowed. It's actually very creepy all around. It's kind of it's a dark matter. Yes.
So what's going on there out in the world? I screwed up myself today and did not bring in all my proper notes. So let me just remind you that there's this ongoing effort, the National Atheist Ombuds.
Yes.
Ombuds at atheism.org is a place where you can go to report when you find instances of atheists being slurred in the media. And
right.
And they take that information and they distribute it to local organizations who can then release press releases. I myself, in the course of researching today's show, stumbled across this thing. There's a newspaper, and I don't remember the newspaper, and I didn't have time to reprint the story because I forgot to bring my notes. There's a newspaper that has a column called the God Squad, and it's a rabbi and a Catholic priest.
Uh-huh.
And
do they walk into a bar?
No. A rabbi and a Catholic priest had a column like Dear Abby. It's like that, right?
Oh, man.
And they took this, somebody asked, I forget whether the question was about the tsunami or whether all the people that are theists worship the same God or what, but they used it as an opportunity to slam atheists.
Oh, cool.
There's never a bad time to do that.
No. And it's completely... there is no repercussions. I like that, yeah.
What they said, I'm paraphrasing here, was that while there are many kind and loving atheists, history has shown that those who hate religion also tend to hate other groups of people. So I wrote them a little letter, and that's a thing worthy of reporting to the ombuds.
Did you?
I actually haven't, because I was preparing for the show and wasting time responding to them.
Right.
Okay, what else is going on? Then there's that movie that they've made now called Eye of the Beholder, which I keep reporting on.
Oh, yeah,
That's right. Dude,
that's
give
right.
me a blank stare for it.
Yeah.
And there was no new news on their site today, so I don't know what the latest status is. They've got the thing done, and they've been showing it at film festivals, working out distribution. Nice. Okay, him. So let's do some news. Dennis?
Yeah?
What's happening in the universe?
Well, here's a sneaky one.
Sneaky?
Yeah.
Sneaky?
It's from, let's see, what's MD? Annapolis, Maryland. Right. A number of Boy and Girl Scouts converged at the State House Tuesday to lobby for a bill under consideration that would pay the college tuition for Eagle Scouts and Gold Award Girl Scouts. Scouts almost outnumbered lobbyists, packing a committee room in support of something better than a badge, a huge reward for their years of public service. Now, the problem is, if this goes through, what they have is the state would pay for the tuition of these
they're in this
Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts.
Now, by the way, let's set aside the Girl Scouts from criticism here, because as I understand it, you can be an atheist and a Girl Scout.
Oh, okay.
As I understand it.
Right.
I have not heard anything about you can't be atheist or a Girl Scout, nor have I heard you can't be gay and a Girl Scout.
Mm-hmm.
But there's Boy Scouts here, and that's the problem.
Right.
That's the problem.
Because, we'll pay for your tuition if you're a great Boy Scout. But atheists and gay folk need not apply because they can't be scouts to begin with.
Are we not going to go off on a tangent about lesbian teenagers? Oh, I'm sorry, never mind.
We can if you like. Let's go there. Wow, what do you have to say about lesbian teenagers?
No, nothing.
Do you have photographs?
No.
Hot scout on scouts? Never mind.
I don't think Girl Scouts can be of legal age, though, so we'll refrain from talking about that.
Very well.
Not even. Do they have Eagle Scouts in the Girl Scouts? I thought
no, they're saying it's a gold award. I imagine that's the equal of a Eagle Scout.
A gold award
Girl Scouts. That's what I assume. But anyway, that's a sneaky way of discriminating against atheists and other groups.
By taking an organization that is already been criticized for getting federal support for while it excludes people,
right,
and heaping some more prizes on them,
right, for surprises paid for by our tax dollars.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yep. Well, that's my story.
Well, that's
fairly disgusting.
That's just wonderful.
It was just
lovely.
Well, Russell?
And speaking of gay people...
yes. And gay and lesbian people. And transgendered people.
Yes. Well, you'll remember that the last time we were on, we reported that Dr. James Dobson of Focus on the Family was leading a crusade against SpongeBob.
Ah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's not all.
Oh?
No? Turns out that other media marketed to kids insidiously pushes the gay agenda. I'm talking, of course, about Shrek 2.
Huh?
I printed this directly off the website from www.traditionalvalues.org.
Well, what's he got against ogres?
They report, the DreamWorks animated film Shrek 2 is billed as harmless entertainment, but contains subtle sexual messages. Parents who are thinking about taking their children to see Shrek 2 may wish to consider the following. The movie features a male-to-female transgender in transition as an evil bartender.
Evil?
What? Wait a minute. He's not evil. I've seen the movie. Yeah. He's not evil.
Well, he's in a scary, dark place, so...
okay.
He doesn't do anything bad.
Is he a Christian?
Evil bartender. Doesn't say.
But they don't feature him as an evil bartender. They feature him as a rather disturbing character.
He's morally ambiguous.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that is an incorrect characterization of the film.
Yes,
they can think that he's evil,
they have lots
but that's not how he's featured in the film.
The character has 5 o'clock shadow, wears a dress, and has female breasts. It is clear that he is a she-male.
He has female breasts? Not male breasts, then.
His voice is that of talk show host Larry King. Now, see, I did not know that. That's
Larry King did that part?
Yes, he did.
That's awesome.
I like that.
That's the only thing Larry King has ever done that I think is praiseworthy.
So women are not allowed to have 5 o'clock shadow.
Yes. Now, what I got from the movie is that it's not supposed to be a guy. It's supposed to be a girl. Just a very scary, masculine
That's the impression I
girl.
got.
Uh-huh.
During a dance scene at the end of the movie, this transgendered man expresses sexual desire for
Russell,
Prince
you realize
Charming.
it would be no better if the author, was this Dobson himself?
Yes.
Interpreted it.
No, I don't think this is. I think this is unrelated to James Dobson.
If that writer interpreted it the same way as you, as a very masculine woman, then they just take out transgendered man and put in transgendered woman, and the rest of the complaint stands.
Well,
right?
no, because
I guess then
it's attracted to. She's attracted to men.
But she's a man-looking woman, which they're not going to like either.
She can't help that.
Too bad.
I mean, she's very butch.
There are men-looking women.
I'm just saying. That's supposed to be wrong, too, according to these people.
Well,
but the tits thing. The tits complaint wouldn't count, because it would be a woman with woman tits.
During a dance scene at the end of the movie, this transgendered man expresses sexual desire for Prince Charming, jumps on him, and both tumble to the floor. In another scene in the movie, Shrek and Donkey need to be rescued from a dragon.
It's Prince Charming!
Yes.
That was an over-the-top pretty boy kind of character. I almost had sexual feelings for him.
Well, this show's banned.
I said almost.
Hey, if we can get Dobson advertising our show
that
by banning it, that would be great.
He'd be like, did you know that atheists have a radio show? This must be stopped.
Can't buy advertising like that.
Okay, they don't do a good job of describing this scene here, so I'm going to do it better than they do.
Okay.
There's a scene where Shrek and Donkey are in a dungeon, and then Pinocchio comes down on his strings. Right.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, quick, we need your nose to grow so that you can reach farther. Tell a lie. And he says, I don't know what to tell. And they go, well, say something really crazy, like you're wearing ladies' underwear. I'm wearing ladies' underwear.
And nothing happens.
Right. Goes,
so that's bad.
Are you wearing ladies' underwear?
So now it's bad to wear ladies' underwear? Is that what they're saying?
Well, of course
if you're a wooden puppet.
And... An earlier scene in the movie features a wolf dressed in grandma's clothing and reading a book when Prince Charming encounters him.
It's Grimm's fairy tales, you...
Wait. Hold it.
One of the characters refers to the wolf's gender confusion. TVC's report, that's Traditional Values Coalition, A Gender Identity Disorder Goes Mainstream, explains the transgender agenda and the effort to deconstruct the biological reality of male and female. DreamWorks is helping in this effort by promoting cross-dressing and transgenderism in this animated film. So yeah, a lot of kids go to this movie and they're like, Mommy, that bartender is really cool. I want to be just like
wears
him.
girls' underwear. I think I will too. You know, I can dispense with the whole Pinocchio thing right now. Okay. Their objection is that is a male wearing female's underwear, right? That is their complaint. But I distinctly recall there is a moment near the end of the film where a magic spell hits Pinocchio and he yells, I'm I'm finally a real boy! Now, if he wasn't a real boy until then it wasn't wrong for him to wear ladies' underwear before, because he wasn't a male before. He was just a wooden puppet.
They wouldn't care. He's a wooden puppet representing a male.
Yeah.
He's probably not even got a willy.
They wouldn't be
The nose will suffice.
Well, Ken dolls don't have a willy, but they'd probably still object if you put a Ken doll in a dress.
Right.
That's just wrong.
Let's dress Ken up as Barbie.
There's no arguing with these people.
No. There's no sense of humor in these people.
But I mean, the wolf in Grandma's clothing.
That's Little Red Riding Hood.
That wasn't even original to the movie.
No, I mean, when Little Red Riding Hood confronts the wolf in her grandmother's bed, I thought the wolf was wearing that stuff.
Plus, now here's where it gets a little tricky for me. You could dispense with all of this by saying it's comedy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That a man with a woman's breasts, that's humorous.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Humor is
because it's unusual.
A puppet wearing ladies' underwear, that's funny.
Right, it's unusual.
And therefore, all of this stuff about their promoting the agenda is nonsense, right?
Right, because they're there to be laughed at.
But I sort of have a problem with the idea of having a film
there to be
where
laughed at.
The point is that they're there to be laughed at, so I don't really want to go there. And I think a better response is this whole they're talking about gender confusion. These guys have a confusion between simply showing something and promoting it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's like saying every murder mystery promotes murder.
Right.
No, that's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, back when Harry Potter was a big deal, some Christians reviewed the first Harry Potter movie, and one of the things they did was quote a line from it where they said, there is no good and evil, there is only power.
Right. And it's a bad guy saying it. And everybody watching the film knows that's a bad guy saying it.
Right.
Exactly. So
not that
now,
there should be
I guess
maybe
their problem is Pinocchio's not a bad guy. And the bartender, while they call him say he's presented as a bad guy, is not presented as a bad guy.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the weird part. They say he's evil, and yet then they say the movie promotes it. So what the hell?
Yeah. Well, here's what the hell. What the hell is, this has nothing to do with any actual morals on their part. What this has to do with is getting money out of the pockets of people who they can convince there's something going wrong, right? They can convince those people that this movie is bad and needs to be stopped.
Right.
And collect money from them. That's it.
Yeah.
That is why they're saying all this stuff.
Another thing I'd have to say is that I think young kids don't get sexual double entendres.
And that's another thing.
The point of them being there is to entertain the parents.
Yes, and in the article, these people accuse the movie of having subtle sexual innuendo.
Right.
Well, that means it's not there for children. It's there for the parents that have to take their children to these movies.
Right.
And the reason why Shrek is so good is because it's one of those films that works on those different levels.
Right. And the same character that the bartender, both the children and the adults can laugh at them on different levels.
Right. You want to see a kid's movie with no sexual innuendo, whatever, there's Pokemon. The difference being that Pokemon was one of the worst movies my kids ever dragged me to see.
Yeah.
But of course now Shrek is gay and SpongeBob is gay. Wow, just imagine.
Now wait a minute, they didn't say Shrek was gay.
Now, also...
Shrek does cross-dress, doesn't he? No. He wears a floppy wig and really small clothing in one scene, but when he turns into a human. Never mind though.
Notice they say nothing about all the women throwing themselves on Shrek after he gets turned into a big hunky human being.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
All the sexual innuendo that's flying around there. Every single one of these girls wants to get his clothes off and do him hard in that film, right? It's obvious.
Yeah.
They get no complaint.
Nothing subtle there.
Yeah.
No. And we laugh at that, too.
Yeah. Because that never happens. All right. Well, that was fascinating.
That's pure fantasy there.
Boy, these people. So wait a minute. Now, let's get this clear. That's not Dobson's organization?
No,
This is some other Christian organization?
There's a million of them. It's just, I wouldn't be surprised to find out they're connected in some way, but...
Now, are they all over Gannon cascading in?
Everybody been following that story?
Yes.
Does not really terribly relevant to our show.
I'm not sure it relates to our show yet. But it is hilarious.
There's a certain amount of silence, though.
I don't want to do my stories yet. Go, Dennis.
Okay, well, let's see.
What do you got?
Okay.
Anything relevant to the topic that we're on?
To the topic we're on? No.
Russell, you got more gay, lesbian, transgendered people getting yelled at by religion news?
The Pope's not real happy with gays either.
Isn't he?
No.
Really?
Of course, he's not consciously happy about a lot these days. But
Do Pope. Because then I can segue from that to my Pope story.
Right on. Homosexual marriages are part of a new ideology of evil that is insidiously threatening society, Pope John Paul says in a new book published on Tuesday.
Wow.
An ideology of evil.
Evil.
Not an axis, an ideology. Okay.
Yes. Of course, Catholic,
I do not get where these people are coming from. I mean, even if you don't like the idea of people of the same sex together, what difference does it make? I mean,
is he calling heterosexuality an ideology?
I mean, I don't understand what's more evil about saying, okay, there's the people with sexual preferences I don't personally agree with, right?
Right.
And instead of them, having to do it secretly, we'll set up a system of acknowledging that and move forward, right? Mm-hmm. What? Where's the evil? I don't understand. It reminds me very much of the whole abortion thing, right? When abortions used to be these dangerous procedures done in back alleys, right? Sure. With rusty coat hangers. Mm-hmm. And then it was so evil that suddenly this thing that was going to happen anyway was being done safely and publicly. I mean, where does the evil come from in that?
Well, their ideology of their God.
There are a lot
But the gay sex is happening whether there's gay marriage or not. How's the gay marriage make it more evil?
That's not good enough for them.
But how does that make it more evil? That's my question.
They don't want their children to think that it's allowed.
Normal. That's their argument, is
protect the children.
If we accept gay marriages, then we'll be sending our children the message that being gay is okay.
Okay, yeah, I guess so. You're right. Yeah. That is their idol.
Of course, there is no, there is no real good reason why being gay is not okay in the first place. Most of the ones I've heard are circular.
But at least I'm already aware of that objection that they've got. I'm just trying to figure out what makes it any worse if they can be married.
They consider it mainstreaming.
Right.
Okay. Man.
In Memory and Identity, the Pope also calls abortion a legal extermination comparable to attempts to wipe out Jews and other groups in the 20th century.
What is?
Abortion.
He views it as a Holocaust.
You don't listen to enough Christian radio, dude. You'd know all this stuff.
Man. No, it drives me crazy, and I break my radio.
Well, pretty soon... this isn't relevant to the show, but Air America Radio is opening a station here.
Oh, good. Cool.
Yeah, in Austin. Finally.
Awesome.
Austin.
Cool. Do you know when and what station?
No, the release just came out on...
it just said yesterday. Austin and not where.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
Or when.
Awesome. Again, proceed.
The 84-year-old... Oh, he also reveals that he is convinced that the Turkish gunman who shot him in 1981 did not act alone, and suggests that the former communist bloc may have been behind the plot to kill him. Whoa, so he's like a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. Oh,
his own
conspiracy. I need a segue here. There is something that I ran into. Unfortunately, I don't have a reference. If anybody in the chat room has heard this story and can provide a link, that would be great. Here's what I have heard. There was an official statement from the Catholic Church condemning what they termed a cult of health that human beings have. And this was a response to questions people were, in my view, quite reasonably raising about how come if the Pope is like God's spokesman here on earth and so important and beloved by God, how come he's got all these health problems? Shouldn't God just fix him up and send him on his way? So instead of actually answering the damn question, which I think is a fair one,
yes,
instead they come up with this statement condemning the cult of health, condemning people for placing value on being healthy in the first place.
Wait a minute.
What?
The Pope's on life support, right?
Yeah.
He's getting the best care that money can buy right now as we speak, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Shouldn't they isn't this thwarting God's plan?
Well,
that's what I would say.
Well, yeah, but that's an excellent point, because that is a second way in which this is completely two-faced and hypocritical, right? And not only that, right? The Pope himself is clearly in this cult of health because he's in the damn hospital with the tubes in him.
Exactly.
Right.
So, the Catholic Church condemns the cult of health because it gives rise to these questions. Health is so important, therefore, and God loves the Pope, therefore, why doesn't God fix the Pope up?
How dare you ask that?
How dare you ask that? And the reason you're asking it is because you think health is important. Idiot. So don't think that health is important. That's a cult.
Now, is the Pope supposed to be, I don't know, sinless?
Infallible.
Infallible. Okay. Because, I mean, isn't sickness a result of, all that original sin and all that crap?
I don't think the Catholic Church takes that line anymore.
Okay.
No, I don't think they do now. No.
Because I was wondering how
but
he gets sick.
Who knows? The kind of shit these people pull, nothing surprises me anymore.
No. And you can't... It gets tough to predict what they're going to say because it just comes from so left field.
Well, we are the non-prophets, so
so we don't need to.
We don't try to predict.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, there are so many different groups with so many different beliefs that whenever you try to generalize about what they probably believe, they say, oh, you're not accurately representing religious people.
Well,
did you follow
I'm accurately representing the last one I spoke to.
Yeah, you can't accurately
You're another one, so you're obviously different.
Because there is no standard in theology.
Mimetically
People can believe what they want.
Mimetically speaking, the complete confusion of all these different strains of Christianity
just make it slippery.
Makes it harder to argue against. It's a defensive mechanism.
Right.
Amazing, huh? Speaking of that
Are we over
hideous
the Pope?
creep, the Pope. Oh, do you want to talk about that thing, that thread in alt-atheism about the Pope and his health?
Yeah, sure.
Dennis and I
we were looking
reading
at alt-atheism.
Okay.
Yeah. And there were some posts, going on about, how they'd like to see all sorts of horrible calamities befall the Pope. And, you'd have Christians come in and say, "Oh, how can you be so cruel to this old man?" And I would repeatedly point out, they're not being cruel to an old man.
Right.
They're not doing anything to the Pope. The Pope has never heard of these people and probably doesn't read alt-atheism.
Right.
So the Pope is unharmed by anything these people are doing.
Right. But these are the folks who believe in this magical thinking. So
these magic spells.
If you think that you'd like to see the Pope suffer,
right,
then somehow
you've harmed him.
You're magically making him suffer.
Right. And so they asked, why would you be cruel to the Pope? And I said, well, first off, he's running the world's largest protection racket. He calls people evil when he knows full well that a lot of people listen to what he says and take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty good for starters.
Right.
And so, what did they?
You came up with this analogy about standing around outside the police station where they captured Al Capone.
Right. I said, look,
and saying you hope he gets the chair.
Yeah, that's he said, the Christian responded, of course, overstating his position, saying, oh, so what are you? Are you the assassin sent to kill the ailing mafia don? Since I compared it to a protection racket from the mafia, and I go, no, we're the people standing around the jailhouse going, I hope Al Capone gets the chair because we don't like organized crime.
Yeah, I thought that was excellent.
And that's basically what atheists saying the Pope should suffer are doing, is they're standing around the jailhouse saying, yeah, Al Capone should suffer. I see nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah, the religions are all about building up these characters so that they're larger-than-life good guys, that if you say anything bad about them at all, then, why, you must be an awful person. I mean, Mother Teresa got this treatment, and she was, if you actually look at what kind of stuff she was pulling, this is not a nice person.
No.
Now, speaking of the two-faced hypocrisy of the Catholic Church.
Oh?
Yeah, I mean, you've heard all about, criticizing the European Union for not praising Christianity in their constitution, and all this other stuff, and
right,
the Russell's story about the evil ideology of gay marriage and all that crap.
Uh-huh.
Okay. The Church backs a balanced secularity, says John Paul II.
Yeah?
So now, after saying all this crap about how the Church really ought to be the one that dictates what constitutes right and wrong.
Right.
Right? And governments ought to be recognizing that they only get to exist because the Catholic Church says so.
Right.
Stuff like that, right? Now, here comes this statement saying, oh, no, we're not against secularity as long as it's balanced. So yes, and that, of course, raised my eyebrow as well.
Balanced?
So here is, in fact, what this statement says. The principle of secularity is acceptable when it involves a well-understood separation of church and state, said John Paul II in a letter to the bishops of France.
Understood.
Yeah, so it's...
Oh, now there's an objective test.
Acceptable when it's well understood. And who's asking you to be the arbiters of when it's acceptable and when it's well understood?
Oh, gosh.
It's these guys, right?
Yeah.
The letter, sent on the 100th anniversary of the law that introduced the separation of church and state in France, was published Saturday by the Vatican Press Office. That's Saturday the 14th of February. In the letter, the Pope reviewed the history of relations between religion and public life in the past century and backed dialogue between civil and religious authorities in favor of the common good while respecting the identity of each. Which is to say, we're okay with secularity as long as we get to be equal partners.
Uh-huh.
Quote, the principle of secularity to which your country is extremely attached... Idiot! putting it like that is degrading the principle of separation from church and state to just this cultural quirk of the French, and not something that is really a good thing in its own right. The principle of secularity, which your country is extremely attached, if it is well understood, belongs also to the social doctrine of the church.
What?
The Holy Father wrote in his letter. So here is the Pope saying, oh yeah, that separation of church and state thing, we came up with that. That was our idea. Or at least we never...
Sure.
Maybe if it was like some religious people and some secular people came up with it together, we were there, equal partners in inventing this thing, and we've never objected to it.
Yeah, right.
Bullshit!
My painful
record. To it all
that's
the
why
frickin'
the
time.
Catholic Church owned the state in the Middle Ages.
Yeah. But separation of church and state belongs to the social doctrine of the church. Let's claim frickin' everything.
That.
It was God's idea to separate church and state. Fuck you! The hell it was! Quote, it reminds us of the need for a just separation of powers, acknowledged the Pope, citing the recently published Compendium of the Social Doctrine of the Church.
Brother.
Again, the only reason the church tolerates a separation of the powers is because it was forced on them.
Right.
Right. They no longer
Not like
can
they
fight
came up
against
with it. Not like they agreed.
That is the only reason
this
they
is
put
the
up with
guy
that.
who managed to
Lying
apologize
sluts.
to Galileo after 300 years.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind the apologizing. A late apology to me, I am actually in favor of that. Mm-hmm. I think there's some more people that need to apologize. Have they ever apologized to Bruno? Giordano Bruno?
Bruno, yeah. Not that I know of.
Not that I know of either. But that kind of stuff is good. That's the organization saying, we fucked up in the past. It's been a long time, but we want you to know we don't think like that anymore. There's never been an apology, that, to my knowledge, for the struggle against the separation of church and state that the Catholic Church conducted for centuries. Right? There's never been an apology and an official acknowledgement of that back when we were against the separation of church and state. That was wrong. We've changed our minds.
Also, sorry about those private wild orgies that the Pope had.
Now, did any of those involve Girl Scouts?
I don't think they had invented Girl Scouts back then.
So, I think what really galls me is this taking credit for the separation of church and state on the part of the church when they have, A, they don't deserve it, and B, they haven't even apologized for all the crap they pulled that is the proof that they don't deserve it.
It's just how they subsume everything. This big frickin' amoeba. Just engulfs everything.
Quote, for its part, the non-confessional character of the state, which is the non-involvement of the civil power in the life of the church and of the different religions, such as in the sphere of the spiritual, allows all the components of society to work together in the service of all and of the national community, John Paul II indicated. What he's saying is, yeah, it's good for the government not to lay claim to any of our turf, which is confessionals and spirituality. Right? That's a good understanding of the separation of church and state. Yeah. Only when the government doesn't tread on their toes. That's when you've got a proper understanding of church and state. Quoting the Second Vatican Council's pastoral consultation, Gaudium et Spes, I can't read the Latin, the Pope recalled that, quote, the Church does not have the vocation to manage temporal realities, as in the virtue of its task and competence, it is in no way confused with the political community and is not linked to any political system. Okay, this is almost good. Because they're saying the Church, it's not the Church's job to handle the affairs of this world. Yeah. Explain then, however, how come you got your own fucking state? Right. The Vatican is a nation.
Country. Yeah,
you're a country. Fuck you.
Lying.
And if they don't have a vocation to manage temporal realities, what are they doing dicking around, interfering in our presidential elections? What the hell are they doing? It's none of your fucking business, Mr. Pope. Damn, remember that the news story, or the letter from the Catholic Church listing the things that Catholics had to keep in mind?
Right. Yeah, and they all happen to be Republican issues.
They all have to be Republican issues and
leaving off
glaring absences that were also issues that were relevant to the campaign directly from the Ten Commandments, but they didn't remind Catholics about those because, in fact, they are meddling in this temporal world. Hi, Mary. Ladies and gentlemen.
Don't forget that...
Yeah, come here and talk to
Sorry, when you were mentioning the Pope in the White House, I just remembered that George Bush and Laura Bush, during his first term, met with the Pope specifically in private session to talk about stem cell research.
Right.
Because the Pope, Bush wanted the Pope's guidance on that issue.
Right. Bush wanted the Pope's guidance on stem cells. Well, the Pope should have said, I'm sorry. Let's see if I can do a Polish accent.
It's kind of like a Transylvanian accent.
The church does not have the vocation to manage temporal
The Pope is a blood-sucking vampire.
The church does not care about this temporal reality. Make the stem cells. We don't care. Okay.
Oh, just lying through his teeth.
Two stem cells.
But, quoting again, but at the same time, it is necessary that all work for the general interest and the common good, the Holy Father wrote. Well, then you're just contradicting yourself. The general interest and the common good, when you're talking about what happens here in this world, in this realm, is none of your fucking business. If you're going to claim, oh no, we don't have any vocation to manage temporal realities.
Right.
We don't care about stuff that happens in the world in time.
Except that we do.
Fuck you. Then go live in your big golden house and get out of our business. Ugh.
Amen.
Hallelujah, brother.
Christ, hypocritical dickweed. Is he dead yet?
No, unfortunately.
Get dead, Mr. Pope.
Like you think the next one will be better?
No, he'll be worse.
I think we have some people predicting who the next one will be.
Oh, yeah?
We have a news story about that?
Oh, yes.
We'll get to you. Okay, here we go. Let's wrap this up. Quote, the political community and the church, although with different entitlements. Okay, what is this crap about the church?
Entitlement?
Entitlement
doesn't
to do
have
anything.
Dick.
Government has an entitlement, at least democratic government gets its entitlement from the will of the people.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
There is actually some existing thing that can give them an entitlement, and it's the population of their nations.
Right.
Where the fuck is this entitlement of the Catholic Church coming from? Out of frickin' thin air is where it's coming from. They got no entitlement to do fucking anything. Although with different entitlements are at the service of the personal and social vocation of man, he stated. No, you are not at the service of the personal and social vocation of man. Man doesn't fucking want you. Get out of our world.
He's just trying to get money for himself. That's it. It's all money.
They will carry out this service with as much more effectiveness for the good of all. The more healthy and better is the cooperation between them.
And once again, a proper understanding of the separation of church and state is the state cooperates with the church.
Yeah.
Fuck you! It's none of your damn business. You said you don't care about what happens. Except in, imaginary supernatural realms.
Right.
You go off and you care about that stuff. Go right ahead. Russell?
Gaze at your navel as long as you want.
His navel's probably got a big tube going into it right now.
Plenty of luck.
Well, although the Pope is still alive, we got lots of people who are expecting him not to be soon.
Pope Watch website?
I don't know.
Webcam with him, and can you see the little heart
up to the minute? No, However,
again, as Dennis pointed out, we're saying, we're expressing our dislike of the Pope, but not hurting him at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely doing nothing to hurt him.
If he listens to this show, he might get really upset, and that could,
But what are the odds?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
come
then
on,
the
Pope is like a big fan,
All we want is for you to go ahead and die, if that's what you're going to do, Mr. Pope. Whereas you teach millions of people. Can I say billions? They have billions. Billions of people around the world.
They do.
Thank you, Mary. You teach billions of people around the world that I deserve to be tortured forever. Fuck you.
Right.
Well, the Pope's ailing health seems to be big business for at least one group.
Oh, yeah?
That would be bookies.
Cool.
Bookies are now opening betting on who the next Pope will be. As Pope John Paul II recovers in a Rome hospital from surgery to alleviate severe breathing problems, Irish bookmakers Paddy Power have begun taking bets on the identity of his successor. The company has made 70-year-old Cardinal Dionigi Tettemazzini, the Archbishop of Milan, its firm favorite as the next leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Tettemazzini, at 5-2, is ahead of 74-year-old Nigerian Cardinal Francis Arinze, 3-1, and 68-year-old Jamie Lucas Ortega y Alamino of Cuba, 11-2. Leading outsiders, according to the bookmakers, are Florence Archbishop Ennio Antonelli, Cardinal Oscar Rodriguez Maradiaga of Honduras, both 6-1, and Cardinals Joseph Ratzinger of Germany and Claudio Hummus of Brazil.
Hey, it's Ratzinger coming from the outside. It's Hummus. No, it's Ratzinger. No, it's Hummus.
They're tied at 8-1.
But this front runner, none of these names mean anything.
No.
But do we have any background info on any of these people?
I don't know, but I hope they'll change their name because John Paul is really easy to say.
They do. Yeah.
I bet they're all freaking Catholic.
Tetrazzini, is that what?
Tetrazzini, isn't that a kind of
like something you order at a restaurant? What the hell is that?
Ooh, can we go get Italian food after this?
Yeah, sure.
I can't.
Order some Tetrazzini.
Well, maybe I can meet you later. But
right.
Okay.
But we don't have any background information on these people?
Nah.
We do know, though, that the front runner, according to these bookies, is 70.
The
so
front
he's
runner.
Also, he
is 70.
Can we expect him to go ahead and gracefully keel over dead soon, or is he going to also join the cult of health? And,
I don't know. The first runner up is 74.
Which, by the way, have you been monitoring our chat room there to see if we got any response on my call for a link about that whole cult of health?
A link on the cult of health.
Yeah,
I don't see any links.
Okay. If you could just, when you have a chance next, you could just go and review that and see if we got any response. I did ask our listeners if they'd heard that story.
No,
I don't like to pass on hearsay without at least a token attempt to get to the truth.
Okay.
All right.
The youngest one in these in the people being bet on is 60. The Pope's Secretary of State, Cardinal Angelo Sodano, responsible for the day-to-day running of the church while the Pope is incapacitated, is rated only a 16-1 shot for the papal title, and another dark horse is Indian Cardinal Ivan Dias, the 68-year-old Archbishop of Bombay, also on 16-1. Then we have a 20-1 and a 33-1.
So when do they become infallible? Once they're declared Pope?
I guess it's sort of like when the sperm meets the egg, suddenly it has a soul.
So what the hell does age have to do with it? You could be 5 years old and they vote you Pope and you're automatically infallible. You can do just as good a job.
That would be cool. It would be like, I like Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
Pokemon.
What has age got to do with it?
Pokemon. You know that episode of Star Trek where there's the big ship that has a little baby guy running it?
Yeah.
This is Tanya. I hope you relish it as much as I. That could be our Pope.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
I mean, if you become infallible, then wisdom prior to that has nothing to do with it. Wisdom and knowledge prior to being voted Pope has nothing to do with whether you can be a good Pope.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good point. Shouldn't matter.
The Pope's solemn decree this month is that all Catholics must eat Oreo cookies.
Oreo cookies. I hope you relish them as much as I. All right, so is that all our Pope news?
Yeah, except I heard a bad joke.
I love those.
What does the Pope's ass smell like?
I'm afraid to answer that.
Well, it depends.
Aha.
That's it?
Depends, yeah. Anyway, okay.
Boy, I tell you, this crowd is rough.
Here was sort of from that. Oh boy, I'm gonna link these things together.
Oh no!
Follow this chain of reasoning.
Cool segue.
Joke, right?
Right.
I have a joke.
Okay.
9 out of 10 priests who've tried camels prefer young boys. So, which leads us to the sex abuse.
Right. Scandal. Yeah.
Oh, is that still happening?
Well, yeah, sure, man. There's fallout from this going everywhere. In California, this is another news story I don't have in front of me, and but I remember the pertinent details. There's a big class action suit happening in California, and the news story was the judge rules that the members of the jury cannot be asked deep probing questions about their religious views.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go to read the story going, aha, I know what this is, right? The Catholic Church is trying to ask deep probing questions about the religious views of their... Is my mic off? Hello?
Hello.
Ow.
Hello.
I apologize for that. Hello. Dude. Is it better now? Hello?
I'm sorry, everyone.
Can we get a new microphone or a new cable?
Yeah.
I will take you to Friday.
Hang on.
Get it today.
Well.
Okay, so meanwhile,
yes.
picking up where I left off. So I'm about to read this story, and I'm going, I know what this is. The Catholic Church is going to try to fill the jury full of Catholics that are going to want to vote in favor of the church.
Trade mics, move down.
Actually, that's not it.
Oh?
What's happening is some of the plaintiffs are suing for damages because they lost their religion. They're calling that a damage, right?
Right.
And so it's actually not the defense lawyer, the other lawyer. What is it? The
prosecutor.
Prosecutor. Thank you. It's the prosecuting lawyer who doesn't want who wants to ask the jurists deep probing questions about their religious views because he doesn't want people on the jury who don't see religion as having value. You follow that? He doesn't want the guy going after the Catholic Church, doesn't want atheists in the jury, because the atheists are going to hear some of these plaintiffs are suing for money because they lost their religion, and they're going to go, fuck, that's not worth money. I'd pay money to get gotten free of my religion. Right?
Yeah. Weird.
Isn't that odd, twisted logic?
I can't follow that. That's really odd.
If you don't, I will explain, right? If you're a juror, and the plaintiff is saying, the church needs to pay me money because their mishandling of the sex abuse thing resulted in me losing my religion, which hurt me.
Oh,
if you don't think losing your religion hurts them, you're going to vote. You're going to be on the jury. You're going to be against their case. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, that's so wrong.
Really, I don't think that there's much of... I wish that they wouldn't make that one of their things, because that's again, that is treating religion as having an inherent value, which I don't think it does.
No.
I would rather they sue because that priest of yours put his hand on my wiener.
Yep.
Isn't that enough? Why do they have to concoct this claim that religion itself is worth something, and they can't be religious anymore because the church is responsible for them not believing anymore, therefore they should give them money? I don't think the church should give me money for not believing anymore. I think they should go out of business. No, bullshit. Come on, Russell.
I want their money.
Does the truth have value?
I would think the truth has value. And in fact, not only did
they've been rewarded by not having religion.
Yeah. Now, I'm certainly not in favor of the procedure they went through in order to get rewarded in that way, but there you go. Wasn't that fascinating? And didn't I just link those things together
really
beautifully?
Strange.
Right?
Yeah.
Joke to joke
that
to...
was bizarre.
Okay. Russell, you got anything you want to do? Anything priest abuse scandal related? Should we maybe...
Not that, I'm afraid.
How about...
I have people... No.
You don't have people? Okay. How about this?
Sorry, I have Saudi Arabians and I have sex toys.
You do. Did you bring them to the show?
I'm afraid not.
Dennis, what do you got?
And I'm not going to demo sex toys.
Well, let's see. I got Georgia preacher convicted of bilking churches.
Yes? Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, Kennard guilty on 132 counts in a $9 million scheme.
Wow.
A preacher was convicted Monday of stealing nearly $9 million from hundreds of small black churches across the country that were promised hundreds of thousands of dollars in exchange for small investments.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
right.
Religion has inherent value.
Right, right. They certainly weren't tempted by greed, were they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy,
right.
you wouldn't want to be divested of your religious beliefs because it's not like they make you vulnerable to crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Well, religion has financial value. There's no question about that.
To the people that are running it and collecting the dollars. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Kennard, 46, of Wildwood, GA, countered he was not guilty of anything. No law against riding in a Cadillac. It's not a law against riding in a Cadillac if you don't want to ride in a Volkswagen, Kennard, who represented himself, said in his opening remarks. Michael Torst, who served as Kennard's standby counsel, said he believed Kennard intended to help the churches. Prosecutor said Kennard claimed his company was developing Christian resorts around the country.
Robbing a bank? All I wanted was some nicer clothes. Is that a crime, I ask you?
He told preachers that for a fee of a few $1,000s, their churches would be members of his company. In return, he promised that in time the churches would get a grant or a forgivable loan of up to $500,000. The scheme spread as the trusting ministers told their friends, relatives, and fellow pastors. Uh-huh. Well, it's simply greed, pure and simple. Greed got them into this deal, and that was it.
Wow.
It wasn't about ignorance, it was about trust. No, it was about greed, said it wasn't about ignorance, it was about trust, said the Reverend James Kane of Victory Worship Center in Bingham, Alabama.
And that trust was misplaced, wasn't it?
No, Reverend, it was about greed, your greed.
So his whole defense sounds like he's saying, well, I meant to make them money.
Yeah.
I meant to. You can't throw me in prison for having millions of dollars taken from them if I meant to take care of them.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good grief.
Tell that to Jim Baker.
So, yeah.
Fascinating.
That's what you get for trusting Christians.
Here's more evidence that what Christians want is complete nonsense. Study challenges abstinence as crucial to AIDS strategy.
Oh, yeah?
A new study in Uganda challenges the importance of abstinence as a centerpiece of the Bush administration's international AIDS prevention strategy. The study was conducted by Ugandan scientists in collaboration with researchers from Columbia and Johns Hopkins universities. Health officials around the world have pointed to Uganda's success in reducing the prevalence of infections with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, in recent years. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda, the Bush administration, and some public health experts have credited the decline largely to a policy known as ABC, for Abstinence, Be Faithful, and condom use. Be faithful meaning monogamy.
That's really a stretch for an acronym.
Yeah.
Wow.
Although educational campaigns promoting abstinence and monogamy may have been effective and contributed to the decline, the study found no evidence that abstinence and monogamy explained the overall decline in HIV prevalence, said the lead author, Dr. Maria J. Wawer of the Mailman School of Public Health at Columbia. Partial explanations for why abstinence and monogamy did not play a bigger role in the decline include fatigue among residents in the Rakari district of Uganda in responding to educational messages and false expectations of the effectiveness of the antiretroviral drugs that are slowly becoming available in Africa. Did anybody understand any of that paragraph? I didn't. She said the number of men in the study who had 2 or more non-marital sex partners increased significantly over the last decade. Condom use by men with their most recent non-marital partner also increased substantially during the same period. Sexual abstinence remained constant. Now I understand.
Yeah, there we go.
So even though the AIDS cases are going down, the amount of non-marital sex has gone up, as has condom use. So what they're saying is, you can fuck like a bunny, anybody you want, as long as you regularly wear condoms, and your odds of getting AIDS are going to go down compared to not using the condoms and just trying to stick with your one partner.
Yeah.
The study did show...
So, didn't the Pope say something about condoms?
Pope's always saying stuff about condoms. What?
Yeah, Catholics do not believe in birth control, right?
Right,
So they have so many kids.
So he's promoting AIDS. Okay.
Sure. The study did show evidence that condom use increased, particularly in non-marital relationships, Dr. Wawer said, adding that condoms are essential in preventing AIDS. In announcing the program, the International Development Agency quoted President Bush as saying on June 23rd, "I think our country needs a practical, effective, and moral message. In addition to other kinds of prevention, we need to tell our children that abstinence is the only certain way to avoid contracting HIV. It works every time." Yeah, when you use it.
No.
But just telling people to be abstinent doesn't work.
Right.
People are biological animals who only exist because every single one of their ancestors screwed.
Right.
Every single one.
Especially when you go after kids who are too young to, when you go after preteens, for instance.
Yeah.
And you say, well, you've signed this pledge that says, I promise never to have sex. And they're like, sure, sex is yucky.
Right. They're happy to do it.
That works.
I will add that every single person whose ancestors did not screw doesn't exist.
Right.
They just
never got to exist. And therefore they don't have sex, which is good.
I wish the Catholic Church would focus more on non-existent people.
Oh, you see, it's hereditary.
Well, they do. They have a stand on abortion, but that's a different issue.
And from this, we can segue into some state politics related things, right?
State politics.
Because abstinence is a government thing. We get some more government things. What are we doing on time, by the way?
We are doing 20 minutes.
We have 20 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
High Court backs Alabama's ban on sex toys.
Uh-huh.
The Supreme Court declined on Tuesday to review the constitutionality of a state law banning the sale of sex toys, rejecting an appeal that said consumers have a right to sexual privacy. Without comment, justices let stand a lower court ruling that said Alabama had a right to police the sale of devices that can be sexually stimulating.
I don't know where that right comes from. Is that in the Constitution somewhere? What is the amendment that covers sex toys?
Well, the Constitution says any rights not specifically enumerated in the Constitution, we can assume you have.
So you have a right to the sex toys, because the Constitution does not specifically say you don't.
You would think.
So it's not... Okay, so where is this right of that state to ban them coming from? Out of somebody's ass?
No, that would be illegal in our
No, that would be Benoit ball.
Well.
The American Civil Liberties Union filed the challenge on behalf of merchants and users seeking to overturn the 1998 state law. They say the Supreme Court's 2003 ruling in Lawrence versus Texas, which decriminalized gay sex on privacy grounds, protects sex toy owners from unwarranted state intrusion into their homes.
Oh, now wait a minute. Is this law, this 98 law that they were trying to repeal, right?
Yes.
Does that only prohibit the sale of sex toys, or does it also prohibit ownership of?
The sale of sex toys.
Aha. So they can cross state lines to get their dildos and Benoit balls.
Sure, but, I mean, don't we recall from the past that the law partly says that you can't, like, mass transport them? You can't own a certain number of them?
In Texas. That's why I'm asking about this. Is this Arkansas?
Alabama.
Same thing.
Don't go alienating your listeners.
What? I don't blame rational people living in those states. They know what their states are like. Good grief, I know what Texas is like. What is the limit on dildos in Texas?
6?
6?
I don't know.
There is a limit.
I don't know, but
there's a legal limit on it's funny that it's not a limit on
it's illegal to buy a jar of gherkins.
With marijuana, there's other drugs.
I can still buy hamsters, right?
Yeah, you're safe.
You can't have more than 6.
But it puzzles me because with drugs, there's like the laws against possession are based on amounts, right? You have over a certain amount. Well, you'd think then that the dildo laws would be against the length of the dildos, not on the number of them.
Yeah, the total volume, in other words.
Sure. So a very short dildo that's very wide would also be against the law. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure if that would be fun for anyone.
What if I buy more than 6 but promise only to use them once?
That's right. The other ones are for display purposes only.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, I really should know more about these laws because my wife is sort of in the sex toy business.
Is she?
Oh, my.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those...
an R&D or what?
No, it's one... I have no comment on that.
What? That's a perfectly honorable thing to do. What?
Yeah. No, it's one of these...
people, look at you giggling. It's perfectly okay.
No, it's one of these home business sales type things, which
You might not actually want to say that on our audio show, which could be listened to by Texas State troopers, who might break into your home and count the number of dildos that she has in crates in the house.
Yeah.
That would be bad.
I guess that would be
You
bad.
get in the news, though.
That would be cool.
Okay, great. As long as that's your goal.
It evens out, yeah.
Go ahead with your story.
Which story? I don't.
So what? You're done with that one? We're off that.
A 3-judge panel of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals disagreed. It said in a ruling last July that siding with the sex toy merchants could open the door to the legalization of behavior such as prostitution. They disagreed with the ACLU.
Slippery slope. Get out of here.
Well, actually, maybe. Because... where does it say in the Constitution that prostitution is to be illegal?
I don't know. Actually, it's kind of a good point. Why should it be illegal?
So
it should be regulated.
It could be that that they have a point. Then that all kinds of things that the moralists in our nation, the fake religious moralists, as opposed to people who actually understand what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
It could be that they have a point and that the things that they're afraid of, since they're not prohibited by the Constitution, they're all potentially rights.
Fair game, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What they're afraid of basically all boils down to having an intelligent discussion about the merits of something being right and wrong, rather than being able to legally point to the Bible and say, well, it's...
The Bible says it's wrong, therefore it's wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's a damn
I mean,
good
because I don't know how
how
a discussion of prostitution would turn out. I don't know if we'd ultimately decide it's a good idea for society.
How many minutes we got?
You want to find out?
Well, we can have a little discussion.
Sure.
5 minutes on prostitution.
Okay.
Who's in favor?
I can't say no. I mean, yeah.
I don't need one, but I don't object.
And I say this
people
even though
should be allowed to have any, any vocation they choose that doesn't harm anyone else.
But it could harm somebody else.
How's that?
I mean,
what is the source of the harm? What's the actual source of the harm? And what's the actual harm?
I'm thinking of the perils of unsafe sex. I mean,
yeah, but
how
but come on, think of the perils of skydiving. There's people who will not only fly you up in an airplane, rent you a parachute, and shove you out the door, right? They'll actually strap themselves to you and leap out with you.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how these skydiving training things work. And that's dangerous. People die from that. In fact, you don't get the thing that can happen to you from as a result of skydiving kills you instantly.
Right.
It doesn't let you hang on for a few years while medicines are developed that could extend and possibly save your life.
Yeah.
Kills you instantly.
Well, I mean, prostitution is legal in some parts of Nevada, so what is the argument for it being okay in some places and not in others?
Well, it's the state's thing, right? I mean, I think I'm not sure that what you said before, that anything that isn't specifically prohibited in the Constitution is a right. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Okay.
So I think that's going a little far. Because I know that, doinking animals is not prohibited in the Constitution. Right?
Right.
So I don't think we want to say that the Constitution necessarily says then
I can't
that you have a
what
right.
The passage says. I'm sorry about that.
So I don't think that's necessarily true. I think this comes down to what the states want to allow. And there are principles in the Constitution about privacy and right to assemble? I don't know. I don't think they meant people assembling like Tinker Toys. But you know what I mean. So it comes down to what the individual states want to do.
Here's an argument I think I once heard about prostitution. It's perfectly okay for a couple of people to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Get married.
Yeah.
Have sex.
Yeah.
The guy to give his wife a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And then divorce.
Uh-huh.
So, what's the difference between that and prostitution?
The difference
Except
is...
that it's a pain in the ass.
I think the difference is the planning. Right? If you walk down the street and you see a bag of money and you pick it up and take it home, you didn't mean to steal from anybody, right? You lucked out. You lucked into a situation where you got to take a bunch of money home. But if you orchestrate a assault on a bank, and obviously let's not make it assault because that confuses things. Right. If you orchestrate a break-in at a place where you're going to go in and take somebody's money, that's theft.
Right.
So if you're in the business of it's still a strained analogy, I apologize.
Premeditation.
Yeah, it's the difference of whether you're in a business of doing it regularly or did you just luck out. This time I got doinked and I made $1 million, right? That was sheer luck. But if you make a business out of doinking repeatedly, then for money, then they say that's different.
But that's assuming that doinking for money is wrong, which is begging the question.
I agree. Now, and I say this even though, for a lot of time, for many years, people told me that, the Netherlands? What nation is it in Europe that's got, famous for having legal marijuana and legal Amsterdam, which is in what country?
Belgium.
Belgium? It's not Belgium.
Amsterdam.
Holland? Sorry,
Holland.
Holland.
Okay, Holland.
Thank you.
And people are going, oh, it's a beautiful paradise over there because the stuff is all legal.
Yeah.
And they deal with prostitution rationally by licensing it, and you get medical checkups and all this stuff, right? And I'm going, well, that all sounds great. I saw a documentary about Holland that showed what it actually looks like in practice over there. And the people who go into those lines of work still don't look like they're very happy.
No.
They still don't look like they're having nice lives. They still don't look like the kinds of people you'd want to hang out with. But then I come back to our country and I look at sewage workers.
Right.
There are things that people can do for a living right here in the United States that are not objected to on any moral grounds, but are just as distasteful when you think about actually doing them for a living.
But there is a line that gets drawn. For instance, child labor laws.
Yeah.
There might be situations in which children in which families are desperate enough that their kids really that they would be a little bit better off if their kids were working. Those individual cases.
Yeah.
But
those child labor laws already apply. And it's much more likely that the child labor laws are going to be violated when you're talking about a secret industry like prostitution.
Right, but I'm
that they're going to be violated.
This to prostitution.
Oh,
I'm just saying we do draw a line where, you might say that it's okay for people to prostitute because then they'd have nothing else to do to get money, for instance. But you could make the same argument about child labor. So there is a distinction.
But that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. It's not exactly. Because those child labor laws are going to apply no matter what.
Okay.
It's not like I am arguing that there are some jobs that just suck, but it's reasonable for people to go ahead and have those jobs if that's the job they can get. But I'm not extending that to kids.
No,
why would I?
No, you're misunderstanding.
Okay.
I'm relating the two.
But I don't think they relate.
No,
I think it's a
I'm
separate.
making an analogy between the two. I'm not saying child sex
Okay,
workers.
I'm rejecting your analogy because I don't think it works. All right, how much time we got left? Did we do 5 minutes on prostitution? We didn't really.
I don't think we made it.
What?
we
went over?
No, we were short.
Oh. Well, can anybody think of any other actual practical reasons why there shouldn't be prostitution?
What was your point in bringing up the fact that all these prostitutes look pretty unhappy? Is that an argument against?
No, it's not. It's actually to clarify my position that I don't buy the claim that if you legalize this stuff, you suddenly turn into this paradise where everything is nice.
Oh, right.
That's not what it's about, right? The issue is, yeah, but even if it looks icky, even if the result you get is going to be kind of creepy and icky, that's not an argument against it because there's all kinds of things people do that are creepy and icky, right?
Yeah.
The people that taste test the cat food so that they can... There's somebody that eats the cat food so they can tell you that it tastes like fish. There's... You know what I'm saying? Huh?
They don't know.
Somebody eats the cat food. Otherwise, where are they getting that claim from? How do they know? The cats report it. So we have intelligent cats now. Mary's nodding. All right. Well, I'm against intelligent cats. What? So, all right. Any feedback from the chat room on the prostitution issue? Anybody chiming in?
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, okay. But I must say about intelligent cats. Yeah. They're not making intelligent cats, but they're working on making intelligent mice.
The human brain, human brain
cells injected into mice.
But mice are already more intelligent.
According to Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
All right.
I love
this show is going too many directions at once. Let's pull this different strains back together. I've got one more news story that I want to do.
Go for it.
This is something to take home with you folks to make you really, really, really angry and scared for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
Arkansas votes against church-state separation.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Little Rock, Arkansas. I'll get to this, Jerry. This is from the 18th. The State House of Arkansas on Friday voted against affirming the separation of church and state in a resolution brought by a legislator who said he was fed up with the religious undertones at the Capitol. So this guy said, I'm sick of how religious everything is around here. I think we need to reaffirm our commitment to church-state separation.
Right.
So he introduced the bill,
no.
and they voted it down. The House voted 44-39 against the proposal. Only 2 Republicans voted for it, and one of them, Representative Jim Medley, said he had intended to vote no, but didn't get to his machine in time to change the vote.
God.
Hanging chads, damn it.
Democratic Representative Buddy Blair said he offered the measure because he was tired of conservative colleagues making every issue into a religious issue.
Rude Boy says you are right about people tasting cat food, though.
Thank you, Rude Boy. I stand affirmed. It's unbelievable to me, he said. They have just voted against the U.S. Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Arkansas. Legislators have offered bills this session to keep gay people from adopting or serving as foster parents, to define marriage in school textbooks as one man, one woman, to require minors to get a parent's permission before an abortion, and to offer In God We Trust license plates, something which, by the way, we're doing here in Texas.
Yeah.
So those people who think I was insulting Arkansas by comparing it to Alabama, no, and on several issues, Texas is way worse. Republican Representative Michael Lemereau said Blair's resolution wasn't needed. It's clear that our founding fathers, that they wanted Christian beliefs, Lemereau said.
Oh, yeah,
the separation of church and state is not in our Constitution. Beg to differ. I got into an email exchange with a nitwit who was arguing the interpretation of the separation clause, which says all that it prevents the government from doing is erecting a single monolithic state religion. As if it would be okay if the government picked 2 religions
right.
to give special treatment to, and then ignored all the rest of them, right? Left all the rest out in the cold.
Yeah.
Say, Christianity and Judaism. As long as those are the 2 that get the special treatment from government, there's no one single state religion, is there? But they're still fucking over the Muslims, the Hindus, the atheists, the Buddhists. Aliens, thank you. The morons that worship space aliens.
Be more specific than that. How about Catholics and Lutherans?
Sure, exactly. I asked this guy,
because that's what they really want.
This guy's argument was that I don't even want to go into this. Do we have time? What time is it?
Sure we do. We got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. This guy's very confused argument was that because our nation is a republic and not a democracy, because we elect people who go to Congress and then vote there, therefore it's perfectly okay for those people to form up little cliques that he called factions, and for those factions to vote to give for those factions to give their own views special treatment.
Right.
Right. As long as they don't pass a law.
Yeah.
Right. Now,
this is of course
bullshit, because when it comes to things like the under God line in the pledge, that was an act of Congress. Putting the under God line in the pledge was these guys passing a law to put that phrase in the pledge. By this guy's own reasoning, that ought to be illegal. But no, it's okay as long as it's still okay as long as it's not a single monolithic state religion.
Right.
I asked him if he extended his reasoning to race. I said, most of the people in Congress are white. How would you feel if they went and made an official proclamation, not a law, mind you, just a proclamation, that ours is one nation under God for white people? Is that okay just because this is a republic and not a democracy? He didn't answer. Now we got 2 minutes.
What a surprise.
I'm sure we can do 2 minutes on something. We got any more news?
Yeah, but it's old.
Well, how old?
Oldish. It's the day before Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Saudi morality police see red over Valentine roses.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia's morality police are on the scent of illicit red roses as part of a clampdown on would-be St. Valentine's lovers in the strict Muslim kingdom.
Illicit red roses.
The Committee for the Promotion...
Okay.
I love this because this is the name of something that could appear in the United States.
Yeah.
The Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice. Saudi Arabia's powerful religious vigilantes have banned shops from selling any red flowers in the run-up to February 14th.
Now, it says say vigilantes there, so it's a little unfair to say that's a thing that could happen in there. I think it is a thing that could happen in the United States, but you made it sound as if that's a government department.
That's not what I mean. I mean, it sounds like the name of something that would be in the United States.
Yes.
It's... I'll read it again. The Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice.
Everybody loves virtue, and everybody hates vice, right?
Yeah, hey.
No, actually, don't hate vice.
Oh, shoot, we're out of time.
A lot of things we call vice aren't actually that bad. All right, everyone, we leave you with the music. This is Gary Newman, by the way, singing a song.
Well done. Was it track 5? I'm sorry.
It's track 6, I believe.
Oh, shoot.
Did you just start 5?
Yes.
It's one of those days. Everybody, thank you for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With another fine episode for you.
And hopefully some more news.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.